The United States of America has the potential to be a great nation. We have the potential to be great, but we are not there yet. That potential is written in our history. It's written by the people who made this nation the most powerful economy, the most powerful military in the world. But when people talk about make America great again, or they talk about the greatness of the past of these United States, they ignore certain elements of not only America's past, but also our present. We have issues in this country. We have issues with race. We have issues with gender. We have issues with sexual orientation. We certainly have issues with national origin. But let's talk about our issues of race for a minute. I have long believed that future historians, 500, 1,000 years from now, will look back on this time period of the United States and they'll say, those Americans just never could quite figure out that race issue. Because we haven't. We have not yet been able to reconcile the language of our Constitution and the language of our founding documents like the Declaration of Independence with race. Language like we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Really? Really? Do you know who wrote those words? I bet you do. It was Thomas Jefferson. At the time that he wrote it, he was a future president. Future President Thomas Jefferson. These truths are self-evident that all men are created equal. That man owned slaves. A lot of slaves. It's tough to reconcile the history of a nation that perpetrated on fellow human beings the most brutal form of slavery ever recorded, ever witnessed in the world. It's tough to reconcile that with words like those. All men are created equal. Did he mean men as in mankind? As in all human beings? Well, if so, then why did it take so long to give women the right to vote in this country? Final exam. The final exam is coming up at the last part of this video, and it's going to cover something from the last video, the one I posted yesterday evening, and also content from tonight. There are many amendments to the Constitution of the United States. There are some you've heard of before. I really hope you've heard of. Like the First Amendment, the right to free speech, freedom of expression. The Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. The Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment protects us from search and seizure, meaning the government must have a compelling reason, a probable cause, to search your person or your property for any alleged illegal activity. The Fifth Amendment, the right against self-incrimination. The Sixth, Seventh, and Eighth Amendments, they're also pretty important. So is the 10th. Actually, they're all pretty damn important. But Tonight, I want to talk to y'all about 3 amendments to the Constitution that I really want you to learn before you leave this class. And those are the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendments. Those three tell the story of this nation, these United States, better than any other part of the Constitution. Oh, sure, there's Article 1, 2, and 3 about Congress and the President and the Supreme Court, or the judicial system. But the 13th, 14th, and 15th are part of our history. Not just the founding, but also the results of the founding of this country. And when I say the results of the founding of this country, what I'm talking about is the fact that the founders of these United States allowed the nation to come into existence with the legal institution of slavery as part of our existence. And as I mentioned in the last video, this nation fought a bloody civil war over the question of slavery, the question of whether or not it was going to be legally allowed in this country for one group of people to legally own another group of human beings as property. And after a long, bloody war, over 700,000 dead Americans in that war, the answer to the question was no. But think about that for a minute. Think about any political controversies of our modern times and how people are putting their lives on the line to demonstrate the fact that Black Lives Matter, to demonstrate the fact that this nation has a history of ignoring certain people, that our policymakers, our lawmakers have a history of ignoring certain demographics of people. People put their lives on the line to demonstrate and protest those things. But 700,000 dead Americans. And I'm counting both sides on that number, of course. But I disagree with our current president when he said there were decent people, there were good people on both sides of a debate like white supremacy. There are no good people. There are no morally or ethically right people on the side who believe that one race is inherently superior to another. But that was the dispute of the American Civil War. And after that war, Congress passed these 3 very important amendments, the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendments to the Constitution. The 13th Amendment dealt directly with slavery. The 13th Amendment makes it unconstitutional. And remember, any amendment to the Constitution is part of the Constitution. The 13th Amendment made it unconstitutional for people to own people, for people to exercise the rights of chattel, the rights of property over other people. That's an important one. Excuse me. The 14th Amendment. That's one of the biggest. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it's the biggest amendment to the United States Constitution. It says many things, But two of those things are very important. One of them, it says that, and I'm just going to read it so I don't mischaracterize it. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of laws. So, I said does two big things. Number one, it says anyone born here is a citizen and shall be availed by the federal government to all the rights and privileges of being a citizen. Anyone, regardless of race, of gender. And as this amendment was later interpreted in our nation's history, regardless of sexual orientation, regardless of anything. If you're from here, you are of here. If you're from here, you are of here. Not just white Europeans, but anyone who's born here. You are of here. And you have the inherent rights guaranteed by the laws of this nation. The other thing, and I said it all as one big sentence because it's actually written as one big sentence in the 14th Amendment, but the language about due process of law, that's important. But not nearly as important in the context of this amendment as that last little bit that I said, where it says that the states, and implied within that are the local governments as well, may not deny any person within their jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. What does equal protection mean? That's very, very, very important. And if you remember nothing else from this class, remember this. Equal protection of the laws means that if you have a right under the law of one state or one city in the United States, you have that right under another. More importantly, if the law gives me a right, this property-owning white man, it must also afford that right to anyone else. And if the law gives a right to one group of people, it must also give it to me. It works in all different directions. But it's very, very, very important. And there's more to the 14th Amendment. If you want to read it, it's in your textbook in the appendix, the Constitution, and it's also online, the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. It's important stuff. All of it. But those two parts. First, anyone born here is of here. And second, equal protection under the law. That is everything. That constitutes the cornerstone of what can make this country great. That if I have a right under the law, so does anybody else. That is in the Constitution, thanks to the 14th Amendment. All right, now to the 15th Amendment. 15th Amendment, I'm not going to read that one to you, but I tell you how important that is. It guarantees the right to vote. Anyone who's protected by the aforementioned 14th Amendment also has the right to vote, in theory, under the 15th. When I made that face and I said, in theory, that was my way of indicating that it's not always crystal clear as you probably already surmised, the 15th Amendment was passed a long time before women gained the right to vote in this country. To this day, many, many, many people with felony convictions don't have the right to vote. Voting is a right. It is a fundamental right of living in this republic, in this limited democratic form of government. So, what do these amendments mean? 13th, 14th, 15th, 13th, no slavery anymore. 14th, citizenship and equal protection. 15th, the right to vote. The access to voting. What do they mean? They mean that if you read the Constitution of the United States on its face, the language contained therein, we have a pretty cool set of laws in this country. And to be clear, I do mean the current version of the Constitution, as many of you may have thought as I was saying that just now. The original Constitution, it had language that preserved slavery, and that was not okay. But we fought a long, bloody war over slavery. And then after that war was over, there was Jim Crow. And after Jim Crow, Congress and the White House passed the Civil Rights Amendments, but they lacked enforcement for a long time. We are in a place in time where we have to ask ourselves, is America great? Or does it have the potential to be great? Oh, and I see my screen is frozen again, but we're still recording. So, audio only. Let me assign the final exam, and I'll type this out in the assignments on Canvas as well. The final exam is very simple. Choose an amendment to the Constitution or a United States Supreme Court case. Choose one. Either an amendment to the Constitution of the United States or a United States Supreme Court case. Pick one and tell me how the thing that you picked is impacting the lives of people living in this country today. So, either choose an amendment to the Constitution and tell me how it is impacting the lives of people in this country today, or choose a Supreme Court case and tell me how it is impacting people today. So, as my video is frozen, I will verify you're still hearing the audio before I post this to YouTube. And thank you all for a wonderful semester. That final is due by the end of this week, by Friday evening. If you have any questions, comments, or problems with it, please reach out to me. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful and safe holiday season.